Hey everybody, Kevin here. Before we start this video, I'd like to thank all of you out there who have subscribed to this channel. I really appreciate it. We're about to hit 1,000 subscribers, and when we do, I'm going to give away a nice end grain butcher block to say thank you to one of you lucky subscribers out there. Now, this video is a little journey of me building basically an exhaust hood cover for a client of mine who did not like her little tiny 24-inch exhaust hood. She wanted it to be black Doug fir. And that's what I did. And this is like a 3 or 4 day journey of me building it here in the shop and trying to remember how to make a compound miter work. It's not just one we're making 16 cuts on 3 pieces of wood. Really? And you'll see the whole entire thing. This is kind of a complicated wood nerd kind of thing to do. So if you don't understand any of it and you're like, what the hell is he talking about? And all I have is a table saw and a nail gun. Well, I'm gonna show you how to build something like this right here, which is also compound cuts. We'll do a 4-sided planter box and an 8-sided planter box. I'll show you how to set up the whole thing just using your table saw and the miter gauge like this one right here from your table saw. You don't need a Wixie, digital angle gauge. If you have a chop saw, that might help. I'm going to show you how to make the jigs, lay it out, figure out your little design and all that just using the table saw. And it'll only be like 10 or 15 minute video. Sorry if it's confusing to some people. This was confusing to me. Let's get to the video and let me know what you think in the comments below. I know it's long. What the hell are you talking about? And what? Thanks again for subscribing, and I'll see you shortly. Here we go. So we have to build a cover for this guy right here. So this is a 24-inch exhaust hood. This just screws onto the wall and drops into place and then holds itself up. Whatever I build, I'm gonna slide it over the top, rest it on here, and attach it to the wall. Plus it's also gonna be black Doug fir. Oh my goodness. This is what I'm using for half of the kitchen. That's Doug fir and stained black. Because my client liked the way it looked. It was see-through, but not so see-through that it looked weird. And it was dark enough where it looked black, but you can see the grain. This is gonna be solid Doug fir, and it's all gonna be compound miter. So we're gonna use the Incra Miter 5000, most likely to do this. So this video is gonna be 4.5 hours long, I'm sure. So today we're going to use the compound saw. We're gonna use the table saw and some scrap wood. I'm going to show you how I go about setting up this entire thing so I can figure out how to make compound miters. My client did not like how small this was, and we sat there for a few minutes, and she decided she wanted a 13-degree bevel, which is like that.
Super genius.
Crap. That was my fake wall that just fell over. So what we're going to do today is we're going to use scrap pieces to mock up this entire thing, and then we're going to make it out of Doug fir. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to mock ourselves up the ceiling, which has a 4 or 5 degree angle to it. Put this on the wall we measured. I have to go from here up about 20 1/4. That's why I'm gonna mock this into place so I can actually just build to this. So once I get all this mocked up and set in place, I'll flip you back on and we'll explain a few things. All right, so I'm gonna screw everything up here. It's gonna be fun and exciting. I'll see you in a minute. Got a scrap piece of wood right here, and I put a 4-degree angle on it on the table saw. I took this scrap and we cut it at 4 degrees here. I'm gonna cut them to 20 1/4. Just gonna come off of that, and we're gonna get this set and screw that in here. They're gonna go like yonder. This goes there, something like that. I mean, it kind of looks good. Let's try this over here. Huh, that should kind of work. I'm gonna rip these to 1.5 inches. Okay. So today we're gonna use the Wixie quite a bit, and I was just checking this. And Squeaker says the Wixie works really good, but you have to turn it the right direction, because if you see this way, it probably says it's 136. If I flip it towards me like this, it says it's 43. When you use the Wixie, and if you're gonna use it like this, you gotta make sure it's pretty parallel to the ground, like plumb with the world, and not off to an angle one way or the other, because it won't read right. And we're gonna use this a lot. I'm gonna use it on the chop saw. I just used it on the table saw. When you do something like that and you wanna read 4 degrees, if you flip it over on its side like this and use it, and then when you flip it over, it'll just tell you the degree that it is. Okay, this finds angles faster than you can say bags. This finds it quicker than snot. All right, so we have this cleat at 4 degrees, which should match this here, so this should all be plumb, so we can actually just put that on there and put it in place. I'm gonna make this as square and plumb as possible. When we get to the job site, we're probably gonna have to take the belt sander and fit a few things. We're gonna put a collar around the top. That's gonna kind of match this. It'll be like 3 inches or something. All right, so how are we gonna hold these up? Well, we could use these. Yeah, seems to work. So we put the X on the pointy end because I'm a dum-dum. Should we do this? Yeah, let's put a level on it. We'll get it plumb to the world first. That's kind of close. I'm just gonna butt that into the back wall, and who gives a crap where these guys are. Okay, that's pretty good. Hold on. I'm just gonna do this. I'll just clamp this on there. That's good. That says dead nuts. So how are we gonna hold this into place? That's one way of doing it. The better way to do it is use a jaw clamp because it's flatter and that seems to work better. That's what we're gonna do. Okay, and if you're gonna do something stupid like this, always start with it leaning forward so you can push into your clamp. If I need to push on it, I can push that way while I'm holding the clamp instead of going this way because it works better. Just pushing into the clamp. Right now it's away, I'm gonna push into the clamp. Pretty level. It's pretty level. All right, here we go. What I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna put a pin in it, just like this. Just one pin. Oh, the battery's dying. All right, so hopefully before the battery dies, I'll put this in here. I'm just gonna tag this real quick. It's not even in the right spot, but I gotta change the battery out. The camera's flashing at me. I'm dying. Okay, so I tagged everything in place. Is it right? I don't know. Now, one thing we didn't check, and I can hear somebody going, what about seeing if it's plumb? That looks good. That looks good. So we have our fake top right here. Now let's see what it is. Turn it on. Does that say 0? I'm gonna stick it up here. Does that say 4 degrees? 3.7, 3.8. That's close enough because the ceiling's gonna be just as screwed up as anything else. So when I read off of this, it said 4, sort of. And we'll do this. Put it up like that. We'll put on 2 pairs of cheaters and see what it says. I took a picture. You can see where that little mark was, that little hash mark. That's where it was on the job site and measured. And that's exactly what this says here. So it's as close as I can guesstimate here. So off the deck, the upper part of the deck, 20.25, right on the money. So there we go. We have our mocked up ceiling and back wall. So we're gonna come in 1/4 of an inch from the outside edge all the way around, give it a little reveal. Now I did check this hood to see if it was square, and it's kind of square. So another thing you might ask is, what's this angle gonna be? It's gonna be 45 degrees because this is square, and it should be 13 degrees this way. So we're gonna rip and cut at the same time a 45 degree saw on the table saw with a 13-degree angle to it, and it should give us what we need. I'm not 100% sure on that because you might have to fudge it a little bit. I'm pretty sure that's right. We'll find out shortly. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna set this in place on the 1/4 inch mark. I have it as flush as I can get it. I'm gonna take this. You see that there? Here's the long point here, and it's gonna be leaning like this. It's kind of like building that triangle cabinet when we did the side. You do the side, they're both going the same freaking direction. So now we're gonna use the Wixie. I'm gonna put this on its side, so it's 0 now. So now that it's 0, we're gonna take this over here, I'm gonna attach it there. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna loosen this up, and we're gonna flop this over till it says 13. And you gotta be really gentle with it. Right about there. Okay, so I have my mark here, right? We're gonna line this up here, and we're gonna cut fat of the line just a little bit. Just a little bit, and we're away from this mark by quite a bit. I left like almost 1/8 of an inch, so we're gonna cut it one more time. When we stand it up, it should just be hitting right where we want it to in the right angle. I'm gonna try the same thing with 3/4 inch plywood. I mean, right now that's totally doable, but I wanna get this angle right on the money. And once I know what this is for sure, then that'll help us figure out our angle. We mitered these on the chop saw at 14 degrees on the top and the bottom, and so they'll actually fit in here like this. 1/4 inch reveal down here. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna take this and we're gonna miter this back in here somewhere, so it's gonna come like this. And this one right here has the same 14-degree cut in it, but it also has a 4-degree cut going this way, or a bevel. So when you put it up against the ceiling, it's flush at the top, also beveled backwards. This cut on this side and this cut that's over here on this side are the same on the saw, and this cut that's on the left side of the face and the right side front are the same on the other side of the saw, which is upside down and backwards, and we have to figure that out. Okay, I've milled up some pieces. If you want to make something correctly, and it takes a little bit of time, practice, and patience, and a little burning of the head. See that? That's from thinking too much. It burns the hair right off your head. Since we've already done this before, and this piece fit, we're just gonna duplicate this here. Just kind of mark it on there, which means it has to go face down. I'm barely gonna skim it, so let's go with that. Magic button. Double checking with that. That is beautiful. Okay, now we're gonna do the bottom of this one. You can see this angle up here, I hope. No. That's the way, this has to have a 4-degree cut for the ceiling, and then we have to 14-degree cut it this way. So I'm kind of wondering if I should do, when I do this one, I do all of these. What do you think? Squeakers is very long-winded today, and she says you should probably do them all at the same time. So what I'm doing now is I'm just taking the blank that we had from before and putting it in here and marking it, and I'm gonna move this over until we're there. And when I get done with this, I'm gonna write this down. That looks good. Okay, here we go. All right, so now that is beveled like that. That is all on the money, okay? See what it looks like when I slide it into place over here. Yep, that looks good. I know, I tell them to write it down, I know. So write everything down. All right, this is the left. It goes like so. I think we cut this the exact same way, right? Doesn't matter if it's right and left, it's just top and bottom. I'm just gonna lean back like that. I think that's what we're gonna do. 1, 2, buckle my shoe, here we go. Okay, there's one thing you should never do. Do what I just did. Cut something longer than it is wide. It's very dangerous. If I would have caught this, it would have flipped around and hit me right in the gut. It would have hurt like hell. Use a sled or a miter gauge or something to cut something like this. Don't do what I just did. Don't do what I do. Well, do what I do, but not when it's dangerous. I know, I'm telling them, shut up. Squeakers is a little irritated today. It's warm. We've got the top and the bottom of the front piece beveled. And the next thing we're gonna do is have to run our miters. So the tops are square right now, and we're just gonna cut all the miters in right now, and then we're gonna bevel the top. I'm gonna get the Incra 5000, I'm gonna put it in here right now. So this is set at 14 degrees, and I laid the miter angle on there, right? So we know which way it's gonna be mitered. I have to set this to 45 degrees. Crap.
0, put it on here, make sure it's centered on there. And now we're gonna just flip this guy over.
There's so many angles on this. There's one here, 2, 3, 4, 5 different angles on one piece of wood. That is serious. That's a serious cut. All right, here we go. That's one. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna just cut this piece on the chop saw because I can set it over at 4 degrees and cut that so I can actually fit this in the front before I cut this. I've drawn marks and Sharpies down here. This is the outside of the miter and it has to come this way. That's the outside of the miter, it has to come this way. And I think when I start my first cut, I'm just gonna nick the edge of it and I'm gonna lay it in place and I won't know. I won't know at all until I do the other side, which means I gotta flip this whole thing around. All right, here we go, my goodness. All right, now for us to know for sure if this damn thing's gonna work, I have to cut the other side now, which means we have to take this and flip it around from here to the opposite direction. So 14 degrees. So this is now 14 degrees the other direction. So I'm gonna bring this all the way out here. Crap, way the hell out here. All right, here we go. There's a lot of prep work in making things like this. So if I put these two together, everything is so slippery and it just wants to slide out everywhere. It seems like it's okay. That's pretty flush on the top. Let me go over here and put this in place. I'll put a little pencil mark there. Okay, this time we have to cut it like this. Boy, that is something else, isn't it? It doesn't even look like it's right. I'm gonna try to eyeball this and this will help, hopefully. Now we have this bottom angle to deal with. Yeah, there's a bevel going this way. So the bevel's going this way so it's not flat up against the fence anymore. I'm gonna do a little test here, hold on. I think I got it.
Move, see that?
Yeah, it wiggled. It wiggled because of that angle right there. It was inside the fence. Well, let's see how it works here. All right, so I taped it all together. Here it is. All the miters look good. The floors are nice and flat. It looks good up on the top. I didn't force anything into place. I just basically laid it in there and taped it in place, and there it is. I'm gonna glue up all of the Doug fir now. And once I get all that glued up, I'll film me cutting it on the Incra 5000 again and put it in place. I haven't done this in probably 8 to 10 years. Sometimes you forget and you gotta get the spider webs out of there, you know? You got cobwebs of the brain and we got to get these things figured out. You know, if I can do this, you can do this. You just have to think a lot, make a lot of practice cuts, and don't ever give up. So this miter here and this one over here are the same, just like this face miter here and this one over here are exactly the same. And tomorrow we'll be ripping this down on the real thing, the Doug fir, and that'll be nerve-wracking again. I'll see you guys in the morning, which will be 2 seconds from now. All right, we're getting ready to cut all of this beautiful Doug fir. We have 3 boards. We got the right board, we have the center board, and the left board over here. So between these 3 boards right here that we have, there's 16 miters. I always wax my table saw before I start any kind of project. It helps when your sleds slide back and forth. It keeps things all lubricated and nice, keeps the rust off a little bit. This is the easiest way to put this on. Push that up in front, and then pull it towards you. It just works better. So the first cuts we're gonna do are gonna be the bottom of everything. Okay, so we're gonna use these as our templates. I'm just gonna put it here, just to make sure we're doing the right thing. Little arrow that way. Let's hope this works. See how it just fell apart? And if it'll do this, it might do that when we miter it. This is why we make them longer than we need. So it's 17.5, which is right here. So that part that just blew off will hopefully get cut off completely. All right, let's see the right side now. Right side. See that? Same thing. That was the end of the board. When you buy Doug fir, the end of the boards are usually just crap. I'm gonna tell them right now. If you run out of room and you can't cut any more off the end, you could always force glue in the bottom of the end grain to make it stick together, and the back. We have a little bit more room. I'm just gonna cut off another 1/2 inch and see what that does. Got a little bit in there. Yeah. So something this skinny doesn't have as much strength and girth and ability to stay together as something that's this big and glued up. That's how much I have left to miter with. And Squeaker said that should be enough to make sure the top is good. This is gonna be something else. I don't know if I'm gonna get that in there. This is amazing. I can't believe it's holding that thing up. Here we go. That one was not bad at all. Thank God. The last cut we had face up. This cut's gotta be face down. This will still be square, so this will all be good. All right, we're gonna cut it. Whatever it is, and it looks like it's set. The hard part's doing this way out here and getting it started. Here we go. Yeah, it's not bad, see? Holds together. I'm gonna set this in place real quick. Okay, that looks good. Okay, so I'm gonna move all this stuff out of the way. We're gonna set the miter 5000 up to 14 degrees, and we're gonna start beveling all the parts. All right, I'll flip you back on once I get this all set up. See you in a minute. All right, so now we're going for this cut here. This one we don't have to measure too much. We can just make the cut, put this in place here. I'm setting this right on top. I kind of like to get this as centered as possible in this panel. Let's make a cut and see what happens. We can always sneak up on it and make another cut and just keep cutting until we get where we like. So now I've done this cut, now we have to do the left side cut. It's very nerve-wracking making miters that look like this. I'm gonna come up here and push it all the way up so I can see the blade. I'm gonna come over and put this here. I think it's 17 and something. So it's 17.5. I'm gonna put a little mark right here. Yeah, so this miter will start right here and work our way that way. I'm gonna use this as a tracing line, just so I could follow the line. What I can do is I can leave it long and I can joint it to fit, because that's just a square cut and I can just lay it up on the jointer and joint it until it actually fits. It says I'm 3/8 of an inch this way. So I'm just going to make this cut and put it over there and work my way into it. If I have to cut it again, that's fine. Okay, I missed the line, which is good. Okay, those two cuts are done. Now we got to straighten this back out, flip it around the other way, and do the same thing. Somehow that didn't get recorded, because I'm an idiot. So now what I have to do is I have to flip the blade, this blade here, to 14 degrees, and I have to set this fence to 4 degrees. And we have to cut the sides to fit this. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna take this square, I'm gonna set this on here, I'm gonna clamp this Johnson into place. Lay these two into each other. See, now they're square, absolutely square. The seam, absolutely beautiful. I'm gonna mark this here. Now I have that marked. I'm gonna do the same on the other side. This is the face, this is the right side. Bring everything down till the seam looks wonderful. Mark the top. Now these are a little bowed, so when we go to glue this up, we're gonna have to use some serious masking tape. And I'm probably gonna glue them up just like this. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this mark that's right here, and this is the very front, and we're gonna go down this way. All right, now we're gonna get rid of all this stuff, and I'll turn you back on once I get set back up again. Face down like this. You can see where I marked it, so we can actually see that part. Let's just start like 1/8 of an inch away. That looks pretty good right there. We're gonna lock this into place. I'm just gonna cut these and miter these two. Then I'm gonna take lunch because it's almost 3 o'clock and I'm getting hungry. All right, they're the same height. That's a good thing. Now we need to do the left side. So I'm gonna bring this way out here. I'm gonna bring this forward. I'm gonna lock this in place so I can find it again. Like that. I'll pull this out over here, pull this back. All right, well, let's see what happens. All right, I'm fat of the line by 1/8 of an inch. Yeah, that's right on that line. Okay, I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna cut to that line. Final cut, I guess. Oh boy, here we go. right on the pencil line, man, right on it. Now we got to figure out how we're going to glue this up. All right, everybody, back from lunch. Now I've taken 2 squares here and a piece of 1/2-inch plywood, and I'm going to take the hood off of there. I'm going to bring it over here, and I think we're just going to adjust it until it fits. And all we're going to do is use the squares to kind of hold the corners together, and hopefully it all kind of fits in there. Yeah, look at that. It is actually turning in. That's crazy. I'm thinking. Can you hear my brain frazzling? The back of this is open by like 1/2 degree, and I don't want that to be open at all. I want it to be as closed and tight as possible. It needs to be closed. And I have plenty of room down here that if I skimmed each one of these, it would be all right. This might be one of those things I have to sleep on and think about it, meditate on it a little bit. Yeah, see, this whole thing, it's got to go in to be square. That's not even possible. Yeah. What? I have a conundrum. Somebody knows what the conundrum is, you let me know. Comment below. This says it's got to come in, which tightens the back up. Put this here, and I go to the very front piece here. I got to push this in like 3/8 of an inch. Now it says this is square to this. But if I want it square to itself, it's really, really out. Okay. Conundrum, see? Just when you think you're done, you're not done. And I have room to fix this, because when I push these out, what I have to do is take off a little bit of the tip on each one of these, exactly the same, to fix what's going on here. Mr. Smarty Pants got himself in a predicament. I'm not gonna lie to everybody, this is just what happens sometimes when you're building crap. Compound cuts are definitely a trip. This is the cutoff, and that's 45, like, perfect. I can't even see any light in between there. So it has to do something with it tilting in at the same time as going up, the compound part of it. All right, I'm gonna practice a few things, and I'll probably see you in the morning, and I'll let you know what we're doing. Okay, we got it. Well, 47 degrees on this miter seemed to work. So it's 47 by 14 degrees was the compound cut, and it seemed to work a lot better. It's still just a skosh open, not too much in the back. It sat right on there. I taped them shut. They're perfectly square. I have the 2 squares down here. It's ready to go. And another thing I'd recommend is definitely use some scrap and figure out all your miters and angles. And you need to practice, because you can't just go and start cutting into $100 with a Doug fir and expect it to work out. I'm gonna go ahead and make all the cleats for this. When I go to glue it up, I'll turn you back on. All right, everybody, and there you go. So there it is. Tiny little thing. So this took about 6.5 hours to get it to this point. That included making all the little jigs, practicing and setting up the Incra 5000. It's really important that you practice and that you use, like I said before, the plywood. This is a big ass miter. The tops are all 14 degrees. You can see the sides go up. The ceiling goes up at a 4-degree angle. And this down here sits right on top of the little hood. So the next thing we're just gonna do is sand it, kind of ease all these edges and dye it black and then shoot it. And hopefully Monday or Tuesday, I'll be taking it over there and installing it. Thanks for watching. All right. And that's how you 3-coat a stove hood. Black Doug fir. You can see the grain through it, and it does look kind of trippy when it's in the room. But for me, Doug fir needs to be just plain. That's just me. Just spray it with finish, call it good. Don't stain it. The designer wants what they want, and that's what they're gonna get. They're paying the bill. There we go. Thanks for watching. I know it doesn't look like much. I mean, look at this thing. You know, it looks like a monolith. Pretty soon, 2001: A Space Odyssey. Those monkeys are going to show up. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please comment below. Thanks, everybody. I really appreciate you subscribing and helping out the channel. Comment, share it with your friends, share it with the world. Thank you very much. Have an awesome day. Go outside and play. Hug somebody you love. Be safe out there, and I'll see you next time. Right here on Woodworking with Mr. Kevin. That's me. You have an awesome day. We'll see you.
Subscribe now.
Crap, it's way down here. Why am I way down here? Yep. So we got all sorts of lighters going on at one time. Food in my belly make me sleepy. All right, there we go. So we use kindergarten pencils because that fits our mentality. Well, whatever.